much for coming. I just want to tell you a little bit about why we can have this event. So Baytree is part of an EU-funded programme called Red Glow, and it aims to inspire and empower young women across Europe to be leaders and agents of change in their own lives and in their communities. And we're just really excited that because of that we can have this event. But yeah, enjoy the rest of this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Olive. We would now like to introduce to you our amazing panellists, who are each an inspiring example of female leadership. Margot Heller. Margot Heller has been the director of the South London Gallery for the last 18 years. In her time as director, she has overseen 2 award-winning expansions. In 2014, she was awarded an OBE for the services of the arts.
Maria Andrussi is a British model, public speaker and online personality heavily involved in humanitarian work. She was also the first Muslim hijab-wearing model to feature in a H&M campaign in 2015.
Leah Sattar. Leah Sattar is the co-founder and the head of the partnerships at the award-winning The Other Box, a company on a mission to increase diversity and improve inclusions in the creative industries. Leah was recently featured as one of the Forbes 100 Women Founder and 8th Age Women to Watch Europe.
Akeza Awakba is the founder of Women Who, a community for creative working women, and the author of the Sunday Times bestseller, The Little Black Book, a toolkit for working women. She will also be releasing a new book, We Need to Talk About Money, in 2020. Barbara Burton is the founder of Behind Bras, a project that helps women to transition from prison to employment in the fashion, retail and creative industries. She is a qualified life coach who worked in a corporate organisation for over 15 years, who in her late 50s found herself in prison. Having witnessed the issues that women encounter both in prison and upon release, she promised to make a change for the forgotten women.
So, Ortiga, what does leadership mean to you?
Well, thank you very much for that introduction. It's lovely to be here with everyone today. Thank you for having me. Leadership, what it means to me, I very much think of it as leading by example. So I always try and make sure that in my ethics and my values, in the way I speak to people, in the way I handle people, I treat people how I want to be treated. So right now I'm self-employed and freelance, which means I don't work in an office, I don't have a team. But when I used to work in advertising. And if I had interns under me or juniors under me, I very much wanted it to be a kind of mutual relationship where I felt like it's based on respect and openness and allowing. I think the important thing about leaders, and especially as you kind of progress in your career, it's about allowing the people underneath you to flourish and mentor. So I always, I always think it's about kindness. Like those are kind of the values that I try to embody.
Leah, what were your original goals and did they change along the way?
My original goals was that I've always wanted to be in the creative industries, and I remember watching this programme called Ugly Betty, and there was a creative director, and I was like, I want to be a creative director. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew that I just wanted to be one. So everything that I've done was to get me into the creative industries.
Who and what were your inspirations, Maria?
I know it's cheesy, but my mum has always been my #1 inspiration, and that's just because she's always worked super hard. She's an accountant, so a very different industry to mine, but she's been able to juggle motherhood, take care of everyone that's around her. She's like superwoman of the community. She does charity work, so just having that benchmark really high as what I think a normal woman can do with her life has always made me feel like I constantly need to do more and do better, not just for myself but other people as well. And career-wise, my inspiration is actually The Rock. So a lot of people are like, okay. And the main reason for that is just because when I came into this industry, there was no such thing as a hijabi model. It didn't exist. So I kind of got thrown into the deep end where it's like overnight I had this success, but then behind the scenes no one really knew what was going on. I didn't even know what was going on. I wasn't trying to be a model. And then I look at Dwayne Johnson as someone who started off as a wrestler, but he really wanted to be an actor. And they told him, you have to lose weight, you've got to look this part, you've got to do this, do that, you have to change yourself completely. No one's ever transitioned from being like a wrestler to the highest paid male actor in Hollywood. And for me, it's like, yeah, as much as I got told, oh, you won't be able to get into this, you won't be able to do that, it's like it happens. So I think he's one of the few people that I can, relate to in a special way.
How about you, Barbara?
Many women, and I'm not going to pick out one particular person, but what I will pick out is just the strength that women have from bringing children into the world, looking after families, juggling. We should be very, very, very proud of ourselves. We just don't understand our achievements. So I don't have a particular person, just we should celebrate who we are, what we do, and how hard we work.
Thank you. Leah, how do you deal with pressure and expectations?
I think a lot with that question as well is the pressure and expectations that are put on me by other people. And so I think for me it's about remembering that I'm human and I can only do what I can do, and breaking it down as well, so having a to-do list with only 3 things on per day and making sure I do them before I move on to the next 3 things or whatever. But in terms of expectations, it's no secret that as women of colour we have to work twice as hard across all industries than our white counterparts. There's a saying that you are the top 5 people that you spend the most time with, so I think it's super important to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people who have your back, who you can trust, who inspire you, who can help you deal with all the sort of negativity that you may face on your journey as well.
Great, thank you. And what about you, Margot?
Yeah, I completely second that about having your core of people and your team that are there to support you and help you, and really recognising that everybody feels pressure at times, and I think to try not to create too much of it and put too much pressure on yourself is something that I've always struggled with as well. But yeah, deep breathing is always good. And when it gets really tough, I always say to myself, what's the worst thing that could possibly happen? But yeah, I think not being afraid to ask the people who you work with to help and to signal those times when you're really struggling with the pressure, because you need to share it out and nobody can do everything on their own.
What challenges did you have to overcome?
So as I mentioned, I started out my career working in advertising, which is a very interesting and can be a very fun industry. I think for me, I found that being in that environment as a young woman, a young black woman who is also pretty outspoken, I don't necessarily think that was welcomed, and I think for a long time I struggled and I felt like maybe I was the problem. And I think it's just really important, if you're working in an environment and you're struggling with it, is to really kind of take a step back and evaluate whether, it's the scenario that you're in as opposed to your own shortcomings, which for a while I thought it was my own shortcomings. And then I decided to remove myself from that situation. I kind of left advertising and went freelance and started writing, and that was the best decision that I've ever made, not just professionally but also personally on like a really kind of deep level.
And what about you, Maria?
So I think a lot of my obstacles have been more internal, just trying to figure out exactly what it is that I wanted to do. But the other obstacle that was not internal, so external obstacle, has been just trying to change the mindset of a lot of the people that we work with. So especially when I first started, there wasn't hardly anyone that looked like me, even internally, forget being a model, just within the actual fashion industry. So we didn't have Edward as the editor of Vogue, we didn't have anyone black or ethnic. So trying to explain to people that yes, I can do an Eid campaign, but I can also do a Christmas campaign, I can also do just a Valentine's thing. Like it wasn't, I'm not a specific person for a specific job, whereas if you're not ethnic, it's like cool, you can go across the board, we can plug you and market you to everyone because you're appealing to everyone. It's just about working together, and I don't put it down to they're just racist or it's just ignorance. If you haven't grown up around it, if you don't know, even with me, there's probably moments I've been super ignorant. So, you know, it's alright.
How do you deal with setbacks, obstacles and failures?
It took me to my big age of 28 to fully embrace failure as a good thing, and like I learned so much more from all the things that I failed from as well. Even as, like, going back to when I first graduated, I sent out over, I'd say about 230 applications to jobs across the industry, and from every single one that said no, I would chase them until they, like, to the depths of the earth to make sure I got feedback from them and be like, why wasn't it good enough? Can you let me know? How can I improve? I'm a new creative, I'm new to London, I'm originally from Manchester, I don't know if you can tell. And so chasing feedback on things as well, but I think in terms of failure, there is so much more to learn. In terms of, like, so for example, in a work capacity, the workshops that we do, like, it just makes me feel good when people are like, oh, there was an amazing workshop, we learned so much. And it flatters me more than anything, it flatters my ego. But actually it's a workshop where people were like, I really struggled with this, or I didn't like this, that's how I'm gonna learn and improve. And the difference is, it's taking me all this time to kind of make sure that I don't take that personally. It's making sure that I apply it to the work that I'm doing to improve, and yeah, not taking it personally, which is really hard to do because it does sometimes feel like a direct attack, like why am I not good enough, why don't they want me, but actually everything that's going to come your way will come your way.
How do you boost self-confidence, Maria?
I think social media has a big part to play in what knocks our confidence. I think we have a lot more less confident people now, and a lot of people with self-esteem issues as well. And I think that's because we're constantly comparing ourselves to what's going on. And I mean, if you're on an app and then you see about 100 different people doing different amazing things, and you're just at home, it might affect the way you look at yourself. Why am I not doing enough? Why am I not there? Why didn't I go to that country as well? So many constant questions that we ask ourselves, which affects our confidence. So I think it's more about just looking at yourself and being grateful, I'd say. I think gratitude has been the key for me feeling confident. A lot of insecurities people have, I believe a lot of them could be helped with gratitude. If you actually start to appreciate the things that you have and compare yourself to people that don't have it, it will boost your confidence.
Sure, can I just jump in as well? I think Instagram is just a highlights reel anyway, and the way that I like overcome that, and actually all the work that we do, especially with the Other Box community, we make sure everybody keeps a list of achievements. So no matter what you do, anything that makes you feel good about yourself, so whether it's someone said that they liked your hair, or someone likes the work that you did, or you did a really cool project, just keep a list of everything that you do. So when you're having them really bad days and you're like, I'm not good enough, everyone's living their best life on Instagram and I'm at home, you look at your list of achievements and you can be like, I did this, I did all this stuff.
Barbara, why do you think days like these female leadership conferences are still important today?
The most important thing about what's happening today and what's happening across London and across where women meet together is basically we tend not to think of women as strong, forthright leaders, but we are, and we've got to recognise it. So I would say some people look at me and say, oh yes, you are a leader, but actually all I'm doing is working on something that went wrong in my life, something that was very dramatic for me as a grandmother, and actually turned it round. So a leader is in all of us, so meeting and learning from each other is just another way of showing that we can all do this.
Okay, so this is a question to all of you. So if anything, what would you like us to take from today?
I think it's really important to demonstrate that, yeah, a leader doesn't necessarily look like a white man in his, 40s or whatever. You can have leaders of all ages, of, both genders, and importantly of all different races and ethnicities and beliefs and whatever. And I think for far too long, and even still to this day, the majority of leadership, figures that we see, we kind of look at, say, politics, for instance, they are cut from a certain cloth, and look where that's gotten us. Don't want to get political, but we're not necessarily in the best place that we could be as a country. So I think it's really important to kind of have a diversity of opinion, diversity of experience when it comes to leadership positions. And I also think it's important to demonstrate that it doesn't have to be something intimidating. I think sometimes women can be sort of nervous about kind of picking their hand up and putting themselves out there in that position. And I think it is intimidating, but the more you do it, the easier it gets and the more natural it becomes. So I think you just kind of have to start with those small baby steps. So I think, yeah, that's
I think for me, I've got 3. So one, if you are interested in finding a community for creatives of colour and people from other marginalised backgrounds, join the Other Box Facebook group. It's a really beautiful space where we connect and collaborate and share news, events, opportunities. 2, Ateka's book changed my life, so Ateka's book. Plug. And number 3 is back to what I said before, which is you are the 5 people you spend the most time with. So just make sure the people that you surround yourself with have your back, will tell you the truth, will support you when times are bad as well as the good times as well. And yeah, the 4th thing is don't believe everything that you see on Instagram.
I'm just going to go with just have a purpose. I know there's no specific age or time where there's like a limit. You should know what you're going to do or who you are by this point of your life. But just to always have that in the back of your mind, just to know that every one of us in this room, every one of us in the world has a purpose. The same way the earth, the universe, everything serves its purpose and it all connects. So I think it's just so important for us to just know that we're on this earth for a reason and to just have something that it is that you're giving back to the world.
Yeah, I think the thing I'd like you to take away today is that you can probably achieve a lot more than you think you can at this moment, and that everybody can, and that it's not just about responding to opportunities, but it's about going out to get them and to find them. And I think the people on this panel are so inspiring, incredible women and who are offering different opportunities to get involved in things. If you have got people in any walk of life that you admire or you respect or you want to learn something from them, people are actually usually really willing to help and really open. So if there's someone you want to meet or somebody you admire, don't be afraid to let them know about it and to ask them for help if you need it.
What I'd like for you to take from today, from me, is that I'm absolutely sure that I am the oldest person in this room. My daughter is 45 in October, and what I'd like to take from me and from this panel is that I'm starting a career at 63 years old. I'm now going back into prisons and actually meeting women that feel that they have no life, they're not going to get a second chance. So I want to take it from me that you're never too old and you're never too young to actually do what you want to do in life. And I want to use the word purpose. I have a purpose. I didn't know I had that purpose until I actually went to prison. I was sent to prison. I spent 12 months in 4 different prisons. But what that did to me is it helped me to identify what I wanted to do on release. So Behind Bras is more about empowering women, but empowering them through fashion. So I'd like you to take that from me today. Thank you.
So thank you so much, guys. That was amazing. Yes, if anyone has any questions for the panel, please raise your hand. And yes.
What was it that really pushed you forward and motivated you to stop the life you have?
Several incidents, but one that really drives me is that, as I said, I spent 12 months in 4 different prisons up and down the country. But one incident that really drives me, because I'm now in prison and I'm now thinking about what I'm going to do when I get released. And a governor of one of the prisons took me aside and said, I'd like you to spy on that young girl over there because I think she's got drugs and I think she's going out and she's doing this and she's doing that. And I refused. And she said, you refuse it? So I said, yes. And the reason why I refused is that I didn't go to prison to actually do her job. And she said to me, if anybody asks you why you're here, tell them that you came in here to empty my bin, not that I've asked you to spy on somebody. So the point I'm getting at here is that no matter who you are, she's the governor, she's supposedly God. There are people out there that still want to put you down, and I was driven and I am driven to say no when I need to say no. Thank you.
I wanted to talk about, or introduce you about, the importance of communication and leadership, and I was just wondering if you had any kind of anecdotes or examples that you could share with us about how you learned about that being important.
I think I learnt most about communication and leadership and management from bad managers I had, honestly, for being honest. Like, I think you learn, so I mean, it was terrible at the time, and I had a couple, but now I can kind of see like, okay, this is what not to do, and weirdly I think that has been the most educational thing for me. And I think sort of the key thing, I mean, first of all, kind of having regular check-ins, whether it's, you know, company basis, team basis, the person, you know, underneath you or above you or sideways, whatever. I think just kind of making that like a standardized thing, like not just checking in with people when there is a problem, when you're having an issue, just kind of as a matter of course, even when you don't really have much to say or share, I think just kind of make that a routine, because it means that the lines of communication are constantly open.
How vulnerable do you think it is okay to be with someone that you're leading, and also vice versa?
I'd like to answer that because, although I've put together a programme which is around the fashion and creative industry, so anybody that's been to prison or women that want to get into the fashion industry, I want to help them. The first part of what I do is actually help women from a personal social development point of view. So in other words, that's when I expose myself to what has happened to me, so that they learn by what I'm doing, or they're not fearful of what potentially could happen to them. So I use my example. I'm not afraid to cry, I'm not afraid to hug, I'm not afraid to do any of those, because I know that I would have wanted that if it happened to me. So I'm quite open to showing my feelings.
That's a wrap. Thank you so much to our amazing panelists. Whilst we really want to keep this event free and inclusive, Baytree is a small charity and needs all the support we can get, so please consider donating. Every little help helps, and thank you so much. And now you can